Alrighty, so we're going to start making some tomato sauce. We have a bunch of cherry tomatoes left over that didn't, well, not a bunch, we got 2 pints that we didn't sell at the farmer's market. I'll just dump them in. And tomatoes, tomato, it doesn't matter at all. Then you stick them in this gizmo. And you got juice running out over here, and the pulp will come out over here. And just that fast, that plank's going. Of course, there's a bunch of juice inside there yet, but and all the stems and all that stuff, it comes right out. It doesn't. We juiced a bunch up several weeks ago and put it in the freezer. It's right now. It's in the. We should have thawed them out a little earlier, and we did, but we didn't. Right now, it's in the pot cooking down. We got a fair many. We got to juice up today. This plunger helps work it out pretty good. You just shove it down in. You got to cut regular tomatoes up a little bit. So we've been at this way too long. We finally got it rendered down enough. About a half hour ago or so, we put our paste tomatoes in there, and they're finally soft enough. Probably close to an hour ago. They're soft enough now that we can take this to it. So this here will make a mess and splash. This here works pretty good. And pretty much once you get this done, this should be ready to put in the canner for sauce. Oh yeah, I don't see any chunks. Don't feel no chunks. It's definitely thick enough for sauce, for tomato sauce. So we're going to get ready and put 10 pints in the canner. And then after that, then we'll make spaghetti sauce out of what's left. So now what are you doing?
I am adding the citric acid. It said 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid or lemon juice, but I don't want it to have a lemony flavor or anything. But so I picked this up, and it's 1/4 teaspoon for pint jars, and that's what we're using. So, and you add that before putting the hot sauce in. So, just getting them ready for him. For the sauce.
We're not making hot sauce. We're just,
well,
the sauce is hot.
The sauce is hot, but it's tomato sauce.
Right.
Pressure canner turned on, so it's getting hot.
Yeah, it's getting hot. I'm just stirring that just because habit. Take the lid off, stir. And I always hold one of them things in my hand so I don't burn myself. You gotta leave an inch of headspace, which an inch is about where that funnel goes, so you don't fill it above the funnel. That's about an inch. That's about right, about where you'd want it. Normally we take tomatoes to the market, farmer's market, and sell them. But there's not enough money, and everybody and their brother grows tomatoes. There's no money in selling tomatoes around here anyways. So we decided last year that we wasn't going to do that. So that's why we're canning we only grew enough to can. We didn't actually take any big tomatoes to the market at all this year. Just cherry tomatoes. So the rest of this, she takes over from here, so I'll video her for a second.
Get a napkin.
Just gonna wipe the tops off, make sure they're clean.
Make sure they're clean so it seals right.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Now you put the caps on.
We used to boil these,
We used to.
and then we
boiled them. Even this year we boiled a lot of them.
yeah. And then we've seen so many videos where people don't and give it a try.
And if you read the pressure canner book, it tells you just to put them on like that. So I don't know. So since we've been not doing it, we've not had no issues. So
And it saves a little bit of time too.
oh, it does, yeah. Yeah. And for those, you just put them on finger tight. She always puts those on. I never do.
And then I put them to the side.
It's gonna have to be.
It
doesn't take long for it to cook. It just takes a while for it to. For the pressure canners, it doesn't take. I don't know. I think it's like 15 minutes or something. And then it takes about an hour for it to.
Yeah.
Depressurize. So I'm gonna put these in there.
So
It's actually starting to steam. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but it is starting to steam. When you take a lid off, you always take it off away from yourself. Otherwise, you get a black face full of steam. Always put them in fairly slow. I don't know if you have to, but we always do.
The water's just getting ready to start a little bubbles.
Yep.
Sometimes we have it a roaring bubble fest already, but
Yeah, sometimes. One thing we may do next year, they make these pressure canners that are double deckers. We may look into getting one of those for next season, or at least another single. It'd save us so much time. And I always like to, you gotta make sure your arrows are lined up. And when they're lined up, that's the only way this will go down on. And I always push on it and turn.
you can hear it kind of suction.
You can hear, yeah, you can hear it seal up. Then we'll let it on high for now. And once it starts steaming, then you have to set the time for 10 minutes. And after that 10 minutes, then you put the weight on top. And where we are at our elevation, it's 15 pounds. You can take this apart and change the weight from 5, 10 to 15 pounds. But at our elevation, we need 15. So, and I think it's 15 or 20 minutes under pressure, and we'll show you that here shortly. But, so right now that's going on. So now we're going to start getting our peppers and stuff cut up and put in that for spaghetti sauce. So this is our garlic. I'll just scrape it out. I just use the blender to. Got to have garlic in your sauce, that's for sure. The recipe we have calls for 10 cloves. I used probably 12 or 13, but we like garlic. And some of our cloves aren't as big as others either. Here's onions. We used 4 of our onions.
4 larges.
Yeah, 4 large onions. I'm just gonna pour all them in there. Start in. Recipe we have calls for bell peppers. We're using chili peppers. They're not real hot, but they just got a little more zip to them than the bell peppers do. I'm not a big fan of bell peppers. I would have used Marconi if I was going to use a sweeter style pepper. Marconis are thicker than a bell and way sweeter, especially when you let them get good and ripe and turn red. So far that's starting to look pretty good, isn't it? I think it is. So the next ingredient is mushrooms. We get these off the CSA we're a member of. These are shiitake. We freeze them. I'm probably going to put about half of this bag of mushrooms in here. Roughly half of it. This actually was 2 quarts. That's 2 quarts of mushrooms is what was in this bag. We bought, well, we didn't buy them, but we got those just for our spaghetti sauce. And we freeze them. When we got them, we chopped them up and froze them. I shouldn't say we. I didn't do it. She did. And that's probably plenty of mushrooms in there from that batch, so we'll put the rest of those back in the freezer. This spaghetti sauce, same recipe we used last year, and it is delicious. If you make pasta, this is delicious. So I'm not sure I've got crushed red peppers, not sure. She's got the recipe, she'll tell me what I need.
2 teaspoons.
2 teaspoons of red pepper.
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing will be oregano.
Oregano is 3 tablespoons.
I don't have enough in this thing for that, I don't think.
Well, it's to your consistency
That's
of what
true.
you like, so.
I'll put in what we got. I don't know if I might have 3 tablespoons in here. One mistake I did last year on our one batch, I minced everything. I took the immersion blender in and crushed everything up, all the peppers and onions and all that with the immersion blender, and I wouldn't do that again. I did that in one batch and I didn't do it in the other batch. Next is bay leaves.
No, basil, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, basil.
Basil, 3 tablespoons.
Some of this basil, I don't know if we did this or not, but some of this basil is ours. The oregano isn't. We don't grow oregano. We probably should. We do basil about every year. If you're wondering what that rocking noise in the background is, that's the weight on the canner. And next will be brown sugar.
2/3 cup.
I'm smart enough to untie the bag. So this cup don't have thirds in it, so
2/3.
it doesn't have thirds on it.
2/3.
Oh, I'm sorry, it does on that side. Duh. I was just going to eyeball it. Close enough. really good. It smells delicious. Now it truly smells good. What I'm hoping for after smelling this like this is that we do 1 canner full, which is 7 quarts. We have just enough left for supper tomorrow evening. That's just what I'm hoping for. If not, that's fine.
Smells good.
Oh my. Nice and thick. Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire, let's see here. 3 tablespoons.
I think I just keep the thing out of that or not.
And 1 more item.
And the next is salt.
And
Right.
that's just to your consistency.
Just to your taste.
We don't use a lot of salt.
No, we don't use much salt. I'm just gonna.
And
This
he's
is sea
using
salt. This
sea
is sea salt. Finely. I'm just gonna put a little in. I think the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup. I'm not using near that much. It's probably 2 tablespoons. They're about 3 tablespoons. Good guess anyway. And that's it. Now we just stir it. Let it simmer for probably simmer for an hour. And then we'll jar it up and throw it in the canner. And only do that just to get the flavors of all that goodness in there. And you can make this however you want to. We found this recipe on YouTube actually. I think it was that 1870s homestead is where we got this recipe from, and it is delicious. I've watched some recipes where they put squash in, and I don't know, it might be good, but I'm not. This here is delicious, but it's got everything in there you like, so you can make it however you want to. The only thing we'll do when we do our spaghetti is we'll brown some ground beef, put a jar of this in there, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's simple as it gets. So we'll come back. Actually, I want to show you one thing quick. This rattling, it's got 5 more minutes. It is 15 minutes in a pressure canner for pints or quarts. That's about the rattle you want it to be. I didn't show you that when we was busy cutting things up, so I didn't show you what it was. So
And that's on.
It's on 5, I think. 5 and a half. About midways. It holds there pretty good. You could probably turn it down a little bit, but that's good enough for what it is. It's got 5 more minutes, then I'll take it off the thing, then we'll wait until this thing here drops. And it usually takes 45 minutes or so. Whenever that drops, then we can take the lid off and take the jars out. And we'll show you that, and then when we're doing that, we'll take those. We'll have those filled up in jars, and we'll put those right in after we get those out. Yeah. Alrighty, so our canner is empty. This has been simmering for about an hour. And that looks so good. If you could smell that. If you could just smell that. If it was smell-o-vision. You would know what I mean. So we're going to can these up, jar these up in quarts, because we use a fair bit of this sauce when we make sauce. And if I can hold that like that, I might just put it here. Probably make a mess. Do like like this till I burn myself.
We're hoping we at least get 7 quarts out of it.
Oh, we'll get 7 out of this. We won't get the 14 we wanted. But that's fine. We'll make more. We got plenty of tomatoes on. We have plenty of onions and peppers and mushrooms left from. So as far as that goes, that's not a big deal really. I filled that in too full, but where's the plastic thing at? Oh, here it is. They say to use plastic on this because it'll scratch the jars otherwise. I normally don't do this part. I don't know that I ever have, but
Look at all that yummy goodness in that jar.
They are. That is good. I can tell you right now.
Mushrooms,
If it
onions,
tastes half
garlic.
as good as it smells. Ragu wishes it was that good.
Yeah. And everything we put in was out of our garden.
Everything but the mushrooms and the seasonings.
No, but it came out of a garden that
Came
we
out of a
know
garden.
was still organic. So
Exactly.
that's good to know.
Alrighty, so it's the next day. We finished up. I think we turned the canner off at 11 o'clock last evening, which was Labor Day, Monday. Today's Tuesday. I just got home from work a couple hours ago. Was working on in the chicken yard, flipping compost and whatnot. But we wanted to show you what we did can wise. So we did. This is spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce or whatever. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 quarts. And we had that much left. We just put it in a half a pint. And then we have these 10 here are just strictly tomato sauce. That's all they are, just tomatoes. I mean, like tomato soup or whatever. We'll use it to make chili out of. That's all we'll use those for. And that there is probably more than what we'll use for the winter. The spaghetti, we're probably going to do another batch, I would guess. This is probably enough, but we got the tomatoes and all the other ingredients. We might as well make more. And we got jars, so.
Plus, we had to taste test it, and it tasted really good.
It tasted good. So, what we'd like to do, and we used to not do this, but it bit us. We found out the hard way. We like to take the rings off and make sure they're sealed, because you don't need them on there. And we'll just, and we'll do that to all of these before we put them in the pantry. And just pick it up by the ring or the cap. That way you know it's sealed up good. So we'll go through and do this, and we'll put these away. Mark the lids what they are so we don't get that mixed up. Some of these jars are a little sticky, so we'll probably wipe them off as well before we put them in the pantry. So that's where we are with these. If anybody's got any tips or tricks on canning stuff or any ideas on something else to can, let us know, because you know we enjoy it.
And we're trying new things this year.
Yeah, we're trying a lot of new things. So next weekend we're going to do, well, not next weekend, this weekend coming, we're going to do applesauce. And I don't know if we'll do another batch of these or just applesauce this weekend. Applesauce takes a fair bit of time. So that might be all we get done this weekend, just applesauce. And then we want to do more, probably going to do more potatoes. But the potatoes we do next, we'll let the skins on. Last time we peeled them and blanched them, and I think this time we're just going to blanch them and let the skins go on. Most likely anyways. So anyways, just going to wrap this up. I'm tired of rambling, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me ramble, but till we meet again, take care and God bless.